electricity, time, and attendance, or API, as a lot of us call it. It's going to look like this. Of course, this is a training environment, and it says it right here. This is a training environment, so there's no confusion there. But this looks exactly like it does in the real world. So I'll go ahead and put in my username and password. Okay, so this is API time and attendance. So when you log in, it's going to bring you directly to the home section. It's going to give you salutations. So it's going to say good morning, good afternoon, whatever time of day it is, and then your name. Awesome. So you'll see we have different options over here on the top. And to be honest with you, the only ones you're really going to be living in are Quick Badge and Employee. Those are the two main ones that you utilize. So I'm going to go ahead and click on Quick Badge. So you'll see it's composed of 3 different sections. So left, middle, and on the right-hand side. You don't got to worry about the left-hand side. So you only have to worry about the middle and the right. So what you'll see is today's date. You'll see a time. It's actually counting down in real time to the exact second. And then over on the right-hand side, we have some special codes. So if you're established, you're not in training anymore, when you need to clock in and clock out, you can just click save, and it's going to record your time there over here at the top. But since we're all in training, we actually need to add a special code. So I'm going to click into this field over here. And I can find all my codes over here on the right-hand side. So since we're in training, we're actually going to use orientation department. Rather than typing it in, all I need to do is just click on it. And you'll see it's dropped it right over here for me. Perfect. Now let's say you're a float, which most of you probably are. You're also going to need to modify the facility and department that you're working in, so it gets charged to the correct cost center. So I'll click on the facility. And you notice the options change on the right. So let's say I'm working at downtown. So I'll look for downtown. There it is. Once I click on downtown, now it's going to say, well, what department are you in? Let's say I'm working in urgent care. Perfect. So I have all the components that I need. I have my special code because I'm in training, the facility that I'm working in, and the department that I'm working in. All is well. I'm going to go ahead and click save. And it's going to record my clocking for me at that date and time. So let me go back. So if you're not a float, all you would need to do if you're in training is just fill out this first special code with orientation department. Same thing, once I hit save, it's going to record my date and time. So that's the equivalent to using the badge readers. When you're on site, they have little badge readers. Same deal. I prefer to use this one, especially since I float from time to time. It's easier to put in the codes through the computer, because if you use a badge reader, you have to type everything in. Just a preference. Most supervisors prefer that you utilize the quick badge function because they know you're at your computer ready to work, whereas a badge reader may be in the break room, so you could technically just clock in and then chat for a while. That is the quick badge section. We're going to go ahead and jump over to employee. And this is actually called your time card screen. And there's a lot going on here. So we're going to kind of go left to right. So over here on the left-hand side, you'll see your employee number. So if you need to get your flu vaccination, TB, all of that, they're going to ask you for your employee ID. You'll find that over here always in the top left-hand corner. It's going to say your name and then the pay period you're within. If I click on this dropdown, you can see the past pay period and the future one, but the current one is always going to be marked by a star. I'm going to leave that alone. And we're going to ignore all of this for now on the left. We're going to come back to it. Let's go over to the middle. What is this hot mess that we're looking at? So this is your transaction list. And all it is a list of all your clockings for that 2-week period that you're in. So it has the in, whether it's an in or out. It has the source that you use. So right now there's a letter B. So that means the person used the badge reader. The dates, the time, and you see these squiggly lines right here. So that means there's no special code in there. So for example, when we put orientation department, it would say orientation department there. Then there's your facility department and job class. That's just the list of all your clockings for that 2-week period. If I wanted to expand it, maybe I want to make some adjustments, I'm going to go over to the right-hand side, and there's a little caret here, or an arrow, if you will. If I click on that, that's going to open up the clocking for me. So you can change your facility, your department, all that fun stuff. I'm not going to right now, and I just expanded that by clicking on this little arrow here. Going over to the bottom, we have exceptions. So that says an odd clocking was detected. The reason why this usually happens is, say for example, you forgot to clock in and then you fixed it, but your supervisor has not approved it yet. So how would I know that? So anything with an R plus or anything with an R means it was requested to be updated. So even though I tried to fix my time card, since my supervisor has not approved it yet, I'm going to get a little error here. Also, if you look over to the right, you see that your time card kind of looks like a mess, right? 16-hour days, they're getting overtime 3, double time 3, no meals, all this crazy stuff. So your time card should never look like this, and one clocking can make your time card look like this. Your time card should actually look like this, just nice, straight and forward, 8-hour days, depending, if you're 8, 9, or 10-hour employee. But one clocking, one messed up clocking can make your time card look like this. A couple other things here. We have our benefit balances. So click on that. And we're going to wait for it to load. Yeah, it's loaded now. So you have your ESI, your employee sick insurance. So this is your sick time. Everyone has access to sick time, regardless if they're full-time, part-time, or per diem. That is for you. So that's where you can check your balance there. If you are a benefit employee, you get paid time off. You'll see your balance there. So that's just under benefit balances. The last thing I want to show you is the supervisors. And that'll be the person who's going to approve your time card. So that's going to be the person that's going to email you this week and say, hey, what's wrong with your time card? And if you have any issues regarding your time card, you need their help, you can always ask them because they're always looking at it. And just so you all know, time cards are approved on Mondays, the week before you get paid. And they're called Time Card Mondays. And the deadline is at 10 in the morning. Most supervisors approve time cards the Friday before. So for example, this Friday, your supervisor is most likely going to approve your time card then and send you an email to check your time card. So before the end of Friday, we'll make sure everyone's stuff is looking good so you get paid, right? We want to make sure everyone gets paid. You will. No, we're going to make sure everything's good. So that is basically it for this screen. This is the Hot Mess Express. It's kind of a lot going on here. There's a better way of looking at this, and that's going to be under Employee Favorites. So I'm going to go to Monthly View. And I like this view a lot better because it's going to show me my clockings just for the individual day. So for example, when I added that clocking today, it's right over here. So I have my orientation department. Now, what's today? Tuesday. So you all most of you went to orientation yesterday, right, for Sharp Healthcare? So you want to know how you get paid for that? Because this is exactly how you're going to get paid for that. All I need to do is click on the 14th. And over here on the left-hand side, we have a few different options. We have Add Calendar, Add Clocking, and TCS. TCS, again, is just your time card screen. I'm going to click on Add Calendar. So add calendar is a way of clocking just for just a block of time. So these are used for sick time, paid time off, meetings, or in the special circumstance, Sharp Healthcare new employee orientation. This is going to prompt you with the date. So if you didn't select it from before, you can type it, or on the right-hand side, you can click on the day that way. Next is your pay code. So again, pay codes can be found on the right. And now I'm going to look for this special one. It's NEO. You're going to put in the time you started. And it is in military time, so I'm going to put 0800. The hours you're getting paid for, so it was 8 hours. And the last section is requested reason. So you always have to put a reason anytime you make adjustments to your time card so your supervisor knows why they're doing it. So I can put SHC, so Sharp Healthcare, orientation, if I could spell. SHC orientation. Again, if you're afloat, your supervisor may have you fill in the facility and department as well. During training, most of you won't have to do this, but you'll get an email from your supervisor letting you know if you need to fill this out. I'm going to go ahead and hit save. It'll kick me back to my monthly view. And that was my fault. I clicked on the wrong day. But it looks like this, a little calendar icon. If I click on it, it's just going to show me what I did. So actually, I'm going to change the date. And I'll hit save. And since I'm the one who made that change, it'll let me do that. So anything that has an R+ that's requested, you can change it and it'll go into effect immediately. But if it was done, say, like this way, I won't be able to change it because it already happened. My supervisor needs to change it for me. So if I went to go in and change this, I'm like, oh, you know what, it was actually at 1:10. It's not going to let me do it. See, now I have a request, an R*. So my supervisor would have to approve that. And once they do, these two will marry each other. Okay, so that's adding a clocking. That is editing a clocking. Now, sorry, calendar. Now I'm going to show you how to add a clocking. So for most of your training this week, we're going to have you add clockings. So I'm going to go ahead and click on the 16th, so tomorrow. I'm a liar, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to click on the 9th, because you cannot add clockings for the future. I'll click on the 9th. So we did add calendar. Now we're going to do add clocking. And now this will be for the individual time. So say I started at 8 o'clock. I'm going to put in my special code. It's going to be orientation department. And then I always have to put a reason. So I can put in for the day. And then I'll hit save. Notice how this one over here looks different than this one. Because this is for a block of time. This is just for that individual clocking. So normally, you want to have at least 4 different clockings for the day. So for every in, you need an out. So we just clocked in, but now we need to clock out for lunch. So I click on the day. I add that clocking. And let's say we have to go to lunch after the 3rd hour before the 5th. So 12 o'clock is okay. Special code, still going to be orientation department. And I could just type in lunch. Doesn't need to be complicated. I'll just say lunch. Once I hit save, it's going to add that clocking. So I have to go back and do the same thing for the last 2 for the rest of the day. Click back on the 9th again. I go back to add clocking. Time, I'm coming back. So lunch is generally 30 minutes or an hour, just depends on what department you're in. And just so you all know, you do have a 5-minute grace period. So what that means is, say I go to lunch at 12, I can clock in as late as 12:35 and still get paid as if I came in at 12:30. So you don't need to rush when you're coming back from lunch. So say, for example, you like to eat in the break room, that's fine. Take your 30, set an alarm. Once your alarm goes off, walk to the badge reader, watch your computer, maybe 2 minutes pass by. That's fine. So you have a 5-minute grace period to come back and still get paid for your entire shift. That's your 5-minute rule. So I'm just going to say I came back at 12:30. Special code, still going to be orientation department. And I'll say back in from lunch. Once I hit save. All right, now I just need one more for the end of the day. So back on the 9th, I'm going to add my clocking. The time was 16:30 or 4:30. Special code is going to be orientation department. And I can say end of shift. Once I hit save. And that is what a normal day should look like for you. So Mike, you can actually stop recording this section, but I'm going to still carry on with the training.